Hello everyone, so with the shakeup of the meta, with the reduction in cost of death from 9 to 8, the overall just standard destruction package, or what was dubbed before as the honest destroy deck, is now better than it has ever been. Before you had to use wave as an enabler, or else it felt like you were going to be drastically behind most of the other decks. Now with this honest destroy deck, we are susceptible to highs and lows, but even with the low rolls, at this point, we have so many destruction engines in our Deathlock, our Venom, our Carnage, and our Killmonger that we can usually find a way to either discount our death enough to do a decent play on the last turn, or buff up our Knull enough where it's worthwhile to drop it as maybe the last play of the game. A destruction deck is very straightforward. You want to play your cards on curve. You want to always be doing something of value. If you have Deadpool, you usually want to prioritize destroying your Deadpool as many times as you can. Sometimes you're going to throw Wolverine into a lane by himself, later to be destroyed if you don't have anything better to use on curve. But for the most part, it is pretty straightforward. You throw your cards into a lane, you don't want them hanging too long just in case the opponent has an armor up their sleeve. You destroy them, you discount your death, you buff up your Knull, and you rinse and repeat. Even though this is a pretty straightforward line, it is a very powerful line, having the ability to benefit from destroying the opponent's Nebula, the opponent's Sunspot. You can catch a Kitty Pryde if you manipulate your priority enough and make sure that you reveal last. You can destroy the opponent's Kitty Pryde, which is all over the place right now. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks to this deck. It is just straightforward, honest destruction, and it performs incredibly well. I'm not going to go too in-depth into the deck, but before we jump over into any games, I would like to introduce today's video sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends has premiered a limited animated series called Raid Call of the Arbiter. And before you skip ahead, before you fast forward, give me just a second. I was very hesitant whenever I had a Raid sponsorship offer come through just because of the meme status that those sponsorships have in kind of the YouTube community. But this one feels a little bit different. Whenever I started reading about the sponsorship request, I realized that it's not so much about playing the game as it is about giving the fans what they've been asking for years. And that is more lore, more backstory, and a glimpse into the world of the game's setting. As someone that doesn't truly start connecting with characters until I know about their origins, their backstories, this is so exciting. But remember that this is a limited animated series, so you don't want to miss out. It's incredibly easy to access, and you can watch it for free in the game with episode 1 of Raid Call of the Arbiter out now. And new episodes coming out every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until July 20th. I watched the first episode and it was incredible. It's short, it's concise, but it is incredibly impactful. The voice acting and musical score really drew me into the video, and it reminds me of how excited I was watching League of Legends Arcane for the first time, finally getting to put a deeper and richer backstory to those characters that I already interact with and I already enjoy playing. That really brings it home and connects all of those elements for me, which makes me love playing those characters in-game even more. Raid Shadow Legends is celebrating by adding a bunch of Call of the Arbiter related features, including new champion bios to dig into, ranging from champions that are featured in the show like Gallic, to fan favorites like Death Knight, Seal of the Drakes, and more. The launch will offer a ton of cool stuff for Raid fans new and old, and this is probably one of the most exciting times to jump in if you haven't played Raid before. Everyone will get a chance to get Archetype, one of the 5 new characters from the show, as a playable legendary champion for free, just by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, use my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to get a free starter pack with cool in-game loot. Alright, first up we have Deadwood. The first location is the Vibranium Mines. Let's see, they're running the very popular bounce. We hit their Hit Monkey. So the Hit Monkey got hit himself. He never saw it coming. Lamentus is wild. If we can get Knull, no, unfortunately we don't get Knull. We do have Death, so that's a small benefit, a small plus. How do we want to navigate this? We have Killmonger, so maybe we can make it where we don't have initiative going into the final turn, so that if they do have their Kitty Pryde, we can make sure that it gets got as well, just like the Hit Monkey. The same thing the Hit Monkey saw. Playing into the Vibranium Mines will give those additional resources, which will be nice. Ooh. Do we think they have... Do we think that they have a Shang-Chi? We're putting all of our eggs into one basket here. We're putting them into the venom basket to make sure that we get the raft resource, which is massive. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm gonna hope and rely that they don't get an Ultron. Could be better, but it also could be much, much worse. And so they have the Angela, they have the Iceman. I'm wondering if they have any of their bounce components that they need. So if this is the version that runs Chavez, which I would recommend, it gives it that consistency driver where you don't draw Chavez before the last turn. So something like Lamentis is going to make sure that you don't get Chavez as one of your resources. But if they don't have those bounce components, then I think we're in a really good spot. So they do have Beast. They Beast bounce their raft location back in. So their Angela gets pretty big. Their Collector helps get it helps their Collector get buffed up as well, which is a little bit scary. All right, let's go Deathlock here. We're starting to run low on resources, so we're gonna go Deathlock. Right now, we'll have a Killmonger and 2 Vibraniums plus Ultron on the final turn to be able to give us that additional reach. We have that free raft resource in our back pocket to make them kind of question what we have and where we're going to play it. Now they do cap out and fully cap out the middle location. Oh, never mind. No, they don't. They have Falcon to beast those back in. So their Angela gets massive. Their Collector gets massive. This is just such a huge, and then our Wolverine bounces over into the raft. We don't need power there, my friend. We have all the power we could ever need in that location already. Oof. We don't have initiative, so our only bit of solace is that if they do something other than a Vibranium, we're okay. Actually, let's play for the Collector lane. They're going to be able to buff up their Angela just absurdly large. So we're going to play for this location instead. Let's do Killmonger, Ultron, Vibranium. That'll give us a small bump here. We're hoping that they play something like a really powerful one cost other than the Vibranium. They do have those Vibranium to lean in on. It looks like they have probably a Mysterio that they're throwing down. We know that they don't have their Hit Monkey because it got hit with our Yondu. And so 21 power in this left lane unless they can navigate additional power there. We don't destroy anything with the Killmonger besides the Iceman over to the right, but that lane is already decidedly in our favor. Can we beat the 21 power with our extra Vibranium? It's very close. It ties in that location. We lose the middle location by 19. We win the far right lane, the raft, by 21. Oh my gosh, what a weird game. What a strange game. The Ultron gave us just that little bit of extra push in these locations to give us that winning condition so that we were able to overcome that power limit. Wow. We will absolutely take the 2 cubes. What a wild start to the video. Let's take the 2 cubes, jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Evil Eat. And Evil Eat is running a Thanos list. Can we beat the ever-consistent, ever-present Thanos? Giganto in your Thanos. Interesting, my friend. So we're just looking at a solid, like, big boys Thanos list. Very interesting. We already have the 14 power Knull, courtesy of our Yondu. Sometimes Yondu gets nothing. Other times he gives you just 14 points of value later on in your Knull. So they have a Mojo. I would think if I didn't see the Giganto that this was an ongoing style, like a Zoo style version. But we saw the Giganto, so maybe it's more of like a Khazar Zoo with a Dracula in it? I don't know. This Thanos build is blowing my mind. They do send us the Green Goblin in the vault. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I don't know how I want to best navigate these resources. So after this turn, we are going to push our cards over into the vault. So everything here will get pushed over. We have one more turn. We have one more turn to play for the vault. We don't have any of our destruction tools. We don't have our Killmonger, our Carnage, our Nova, unfortunately. We had just the one in Deathlock. And so statistically, we should get a destruction tool here. We have 3 out of 5 chance we get a Nova. No, okay. Oh no. Well, not the worst thing in the world, right? Killmonger's still a possible top deck next turn. Maybe. We'll see. We're going to go ahead and play Death in mid. hope for the best. We got our fingers crossed. Grand Central can pull into Knull, and we'd be perfectly happy with that. They do stack into the vault location with a blue Marvel, but that's not looking too marvelous for them. Reality Stone comes down. It gives them an additional draw. It also changes it into the sewer system. Our Deadpool is wildly ineffective. We really desperately want not that. Oh, not that. We don't want that. Okay, so if they have the Spectrum, this looks like the Spectrum ongoing. That's 2, 4, 6 extra power here. Ooh, wow. They win because of that. If they have the Spectrum, they just win. We're gonna go fingers crossed. We have 3 cards left in our deck and 3 destruction engines left in our deck. So really unfortunate. However, our Yondu is hopefully holding this down for us in the fact that he hit that Giganto early on. So it does look like the right location is going to end in a tie. So it comes down to a point differential, a tiebreaker. What do they flip into here? I can't tell, but it makes them a total of 14 power. We are able to hold down the left, the middle, and we tie in the right to hold down the 2-cube win. So it cycled into Thanos. And even the great Thanos was not enough to stop the Knull. And so we will go ahead and take the 2 cubes. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Moon of the Galaxy. Next up we have Moon. The first location is Quantum Realm. We don't have any of our 3 1-cost cards to play. Yondu, Nova, Deadpool. Now they do play Nebula here. So we can always, as long as they don't have armor to protect it, we can always destroy that later on. So let's go ahead and we're going to play our Wolverine. We're going to make them wonder whether this is a Galactus deck, a turn 6 Galactus deck, or just a straight up destroy deck. So let's go ahead and throw the Wolverine. That will be able to bounce potentially over into Quantum Realm to give us that initiative, to give us that lead. They didn't do armor last turn, so I don't feel like they're going to. But I think we're going to go all in on Asteroid M. Next turn, we can do a Deathlock. On turn 5, we can do... No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And instead, we're going to early destroy... We're going to early destroy the Wolverine. No. We're going to do this. I went back and forth a few times. We're going to do this. We're going to assume that they do not get an armor, which they have Mr. Fantastic. They could be running a good cards list. They could be running the deck that we featured with the Doom Wave. That could be a potential card. They have initiative. They grabbed it with the Asteroid M, which is a little bit scary, but hopefully it's okay. Deathlock here is going to get set to 2. That's perfectly fine. We have the Bucky Barnes that will be able to garner a little bit of additional reach now. As long as they don't have armor. They have armor, we cry. We do have our Killmonger to take out their Nebula, so we don't necessarily care how big that one gets. What we want to do is play most of our cards and get them positioned prior to turn 5 or on turn 5, just in case this is the one that wants to drop wave on us. All right, so they do an Iron Lad. If this hits like a Galactus, I will cry. We retreat for 1, but at that point we cry. Okay, so it's trying to move somebody to Magneto. Okay, so we know they're going to have a Magneto in their hand, which is... might even say that's pretty neato to know. All right, we have the Winter Soldier in the left lane. Let's do Nova first, then Deadpool, and then Killmonger. We'll take out the Nebula. We'll take out our Deadpool again, so he'll come back into our hand at 10 power, which is going to be pretty big if we want to utilize him. I don't know that we do, though. My only issue with the Deadpool is we won't be able to play Knull alongside it. If we top deck Death, perfect. Cosmo's so mean. But the Cosmo gets yanked over into Asteroid M. Thank you so much, middle location, for being a bro. They do not use Wave, and so we are able to get our Killmonger to trigger. It kills the Nebula, it buffs up our Deadpool, and we do not have to worry about only playing 1 card because they did not drop the Wave. We do go into mid with the Killmonger. They have the lead in Avengers Compound with their Daredevil. We unfortunately are not able to grab Death. So I think what we're going to rely on is just being able to win all of these locations. If they do a Doctor Doom, which I think is probably one of the more common plays following this kind of deck, right? If they do a Doctor Doom, that puts them at 9 here. We win by 1. That puts them at 16 here. This goes to 14 here. Ooh. They win by 2. And then they win this, and then they tie in this lane. Ooh. This is gonna seem super strange. But I think we do a Sabertooth into Quantum Realm. That's gonna protect us from the... Oh, wait, we can't. Okay. All right. Final answer. We have to do Deadpool into middle now, because if we're playing Sabertooth outside of the Astro Dim, it will get pulled over into mid if it's not capped out. We're doing Deadpool. We are hoping they have the Doctor Doom play. No, it's the Magneto. Of course it's the Magneto. We knew they had Magneto. What are we doing? The Deadpool in... Oh, no. Okay, no, we're fine. Sabertooth comes down. Either one of the plays. It looks like we overthought it. We're subject to our own overthinking. They have a lot of sleek black and white variants. They play these cards very, very often. So like a good cards or just like an information grab style gameplay. So we will absolutely take the 2 cubes. Next game, we're not going to be the resident overthinker. We're going to play it a little bit more confidently. We'll snap appropriately. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Homunculus. The first location is Project Pegasus, which is kind of wild. We could play Knull, but I don't want to leave that much power lingering on the board. So we're going to do a Sabertooth. We're going to get a free Sabertooth. Sabertooth is one of those that it's not always worth playing. Like, it can be decent, but it's not always worth playing. But whenever you can get an early destruction on it, you can get a lot more value out of that card. We're also going to shuffle our cards after turn 3, so after next turn. So I think we're going to go ahead and play... Well, I guess we could have held our... Okay. We could have held the Sabertooth for 1 turn, just in case we don't get a destruction pool. It is what it is. So they have the Nightcrawler, and whatever is left in that right lane could potentially get destroyed now. I'm going to go ahead and do Killmonger just to give us a better chance of drawing into some of these bigger resources after Atelian triggers. Not great. It's not ideal, but I would rather do that and have a better shot of getting a Venom and a Death, or a Venom and a Knull after this shuffles, rather than not being able to do that. We can get the free destruction on Deadpool as well. We don't know what we're going to draw into next. If it's Death, great. If not, it's kind of questionable. We're going to do this. It looks funky. That's because it is. But we're going to do this. This will make sure that both Yondu and Wolverine get destroyed here. We have Deathlock as our kind of backup resource. The Thor comes down on turn 4. I was thinking this was turn 5 for some reason, but it does look funky, but it's fine. This is going to make sure Wolverine gets destroyed. As long as it does not bounce into mid, we're okay. And so we do get Death again, which is great for us. Let's go ahead and free destroy these 3 cards in the middle location. We will pull back in to our free Sabertooth, to our Death, and Death is going to be free after this destruction triggers. Now, if they have an arrow, they can yank our cards over to the left. Let's hope that they don't have that. They do have the Lockjaw and the Wasp. Kind of bold. If that flipped it... Oh, wow, that is beautiful. Had that flipped into... Actually, no. Their Lockjaw is gone. Is it right? I don't know. It's interesting, nonetheless. We get a Knull. No way, bro. Okay. So this one is going to be so satisfyingly sneaky. I don't think there is any way that anybody anticipates how this one's going to go down. So if they do a Mjolnir... Oh, wait. If they do a Mjolnir, that's what gets destroyed here. And then they could do something else in one of the other lanes. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to... I went back and forth. I'm going to... I went back and forth drastically, but I'm going to... Oh my gosh. I'm going to give them the right lane. If they don't play a Mjolnir there, then we could have won Warrior Falls. But if they... Oh, man. If they have a Shang-Chi or anything massive, so it does look like we could have won that right lane. We could have won Warrior Falls. They do get an Odin, push more power out. That is going to make sure that both of those Doombots buff up our Knull even further. They had the M'Baku that jumped down. They had the Odin, but not enough reach. And so we are able to hold down the 2 cubes. Go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Windrake. The first location, Limbo. Okay, it gives us an extra turn to destroy everything. We're gonna go ahead and play Yondu. We'll get a little bit of insight into what kind of deck they're running. A destroy deck. They're running a destroy deck as well. We destroy their Deadpool, and so they don't have those extra turns to destroy everything. They probably have a death. They probably have a Knull. But getting rid of that Deadpool takes away their high roll potential drastically. They do play Nova into the Sacred Timeline. Oh my gosh, what is this game? We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and do Deadpool into the Death's Domain. Next turn we can do both Sabretooth and Deadpool. They have a Sabretooth as well. Wow. So they're running a very similar looking, very samey looking deck to what we're running. Our goal is to not have initiative going into the last turn of the game. That way we could maybe do like a Killmonger to take out, well, they don't have a Deadpool, so we don't have to worry about that. We do know that we're buffing up their Knull while we're buffing up our own as well. They do go for the Sacred Timeline to get some additional resources. So they're gonna restock their starting hand, whether that be their Sabretooth, whether that be a Yondu. Okay, hits our Bucky Barnes. That's fine. We can deal without the Bucky Barnes. The Sabretooth comes back down. The Deathlock comes back down. They get the additional resources. They get the Nova proc. And they have the pretty substantial Sabretooth in the process. All right, how do we want to navigate this? I think we do these two. We do Deathlock over here. Next turn, on turn 6, we can do... Turn 6, we can do a Nova, Deadpool, Venom, plus Sabretooth over here. On the last turn, we are able to do a Knull plus our Deadpool. And so we're going to have that extra high roll potential that they're not going to have access to, as long as they don't have a way to change Limbo. Such a weird, seeing a mirror match in Death's Domain to just give us so much value is so strange. To say it as plainly as I can, it's odd. It's such a different, like, at this point we know that we're buffing up each other's cards. We don't care. Their death is now on the board. I assume that the death was probably free, but with this extra turn, we should. Gosh, if we don't draw into death by the end of the game, I will cry. Ugly tears too. Not even like cute tears, but ugly tears. So instead of doing Sabretooth into Death's Domain, we're gonna use Nova. We're gonna reveal these two first, and then destroy the Nova, and then use our Venom to consolidate all of this power. We're gonna have a 18 power Deadpool, a massive Knull, and it's gonna come down to a point differential. They have the two saber teeth, and then the Venom comes down big. That's massive. It's gonna come down to a point differential. I guess if we don't draw Death, we draw our Wolverine. There's a chance that the Wolverine sticks in Death's Domain, and we're okay with that. We're okay if it sticks in Death's Domain. Ooh, the one thing that I don't think has been destroyed for them is their Killmonger. But they're going to have initiative going into this last turn, so that's fine. We don't draw Death, we draw Deadpool. Or we don't draw Death, we draw Wolverine. We have to do this. We have to do this Knull, right? There's no way around doing the Knull. And so the 18 power Deadpool, I think, gives us that differential. They could gamble with the Wolverine and Death's Domain. Potentially be able to make it stick, but I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and do this one, see if they stick it out, see what they played. The Wolverine, do not stick in Death's Domain. Please don't stick in Death's Domain. Please don't stick in Death's Domain. Don't. Okay. Wait. One more chance, right? One more chance. Don't stick in Death's Domain. Not into Death's Domain. Okay. Woo. That was so many chances for that to get blown out of proportion in so many different ways. And they did not have a Knull they used the Hulkbuster though. The Hulkbuster of all things that they used, the Pixel Hulkbuster. And they took that gamble to try to make sure they could win one lane. I'm surprised they stuck that one out. The 98 power Knull is huge. The 18 power Deadpool. Just wild high roll potential with this style of deck. It doesn't normally equate to this much power, but it can. It can snowball so incredibly quickly. With that one, we are going to go ahead and end the video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.